Hi everyone, we are going to be going through and analyzing all 5 documents for the 2020 AP World History test using this Mongols DBQ. Again, this DBQ is asking you to analyze the effects the Mongol Empire had on societies of Afro-Eurasia during the 13th and 14th century. Each of these documents should give you a certain effect that they had on that society. Again, you are looking for effects either positive or negative. All of the documents are not going to lean just one way. With that being said, let's get into document number 1. As you are reading through document number 1, one of the most important things that you can do is start looking at your sourcing. Your sourcing is what I went through and highlighted on each of my documents. So I went through and started taking a look at who is the person writing, as well as who are they writing to, because that will give you some insight to why that person is writing in the manner that they will, as well as helping you predict potentially, depending on your background knowledge, of what exactly they're going to say about who the Mongols were and how they impacted different civilizations. In this document here, you will notice that Marco Polo is writing to Kublai Khan. Marco Polo during this time, remember, is going to be traveling to China, where Kublai Khan is ruling, and thus interacting the two societies together, one European society with the Mongols ruling in China. In this particular document, you will see that the Mongols are seen as a positive group who are bringing new cultural aspects to a civilization that was previously ruled by Confucian values. With that being said, you can see some important things such as several different religions that are going to be here. So you know that the Mongols are accepting of different religions or of others practicing different religions, even if they are not necessarily going to practice those religions themselves. In addition, in paragraphs 3 and 4 especially, you're going to see this idea of the economic benefits the Mongols are going to bring to the Chinese Empire. One of the most important things it talks about is this idea of job specialists and how they are going to move throughout the Mongol Empire. The example they give is a person moving from Egypt to China. However, you can see this throughout Mongol history, in which they are going to use specific jobs, such as, let's say, an accountant or a construction worker. And if they need that person in a different part of their empire, that they will move them, because that would be considered most efficient for their empire to rule. So again, document number 1, we can see both cultural elements and an economic benefit. Document number 2 is going to be a source by Friar John, who is writing to his fellow Franciscans. And if we didn't know what Franciscans were or who they were, what religion they were, one indication is going to be that they are going to be from Rome. Rome during this time in context is going to be Christian. However, it then later goes on to talk to those fellow Franciscans about the Lord Pope, as well as adopting the Catholic faith and the Lord Jesus Christ, which gives us all, again, those hints at Christianity. With that being said, this document talks about how Friar John had tried to convert the Mongols to Christianity and failed. However, he does not give the Mongols a negative name for this. In fact, he then, in that last line of the first paragraph, talks about how the Mongols and he are going to have very positive interactions with one another. Specifically with this quote, however, he bestows many kindnesses upon the Christians. And for these 2 years I have been abiding with him. So again, the positive interactions or the acceptance of different religions or different beliefs and values that the Mongols have when interacting with other people. Document number 3 is going to be from a historical text. Again, this one is written by those from Russia. We know that Russia was one of the places that was most violently handled during this time by the Mongols, where the Mongols are going to rule from afar, because they did not feel that the Russians had anything of value. Thus, the Mongols would just go into their cities and raid them, as well as rape the women. And so we're looking at how are the Russians reacting to Mongol rule during this time. From this document, you can see that the princes are talking about how they are not going to allow the Mongols to come in and rule, and how they are going to have the Mongols then come in to those streets and the Russians will get killed by the Mongols. Again, it's for the purpose of that they are going to fail to surrender to the Mongols. They're going to say this, or part of that sourcing piece also is in those last two lines, that they are going to justify the Mongol rule, or that this is happening to them because of the sins that they have thus far committed. And again, it's going back to that idea of sourcing. Who are they writing about or to? It's those religious authorities, and this is part of Christianity, specifically the Eastern Orthodox Christians during this time, noting that their sins have then given them this consequence. Document number 4 is from another historian. Document number 4 is going to talk about one woman in particular, Genghis Khan's daughter-in-law. When they talk about Genghis Khan's daughter-in-law, they're really bringing two examples forward to you that you could use. First and foremost, talking about how the Khan, Genghis Khan, is going to put his daughter-in-law in power during this time, something that was not done in any other society, in Chinese society, in Persian society, so on and so forth. So giving rights to women, that cultural element there, as well as a lot of people are taking from this the idea of spreading religion or having tolerance for different religions, specifically in that second paragraph, discussing the Islamic religion that you would normally see in Baghdad here. Document number 5, I would suggest that you use the sourcing when you are given, especially for paintings or pictures, if those are something that is hard for you to analyze for evidence. The sourcing will give you a lot of what you need to know about the picture, and then you can point out specifics from the picture that show whatever the source says. Again, this is talking about the sieging of Baghdad. We know that many places in the Middle East, as well as in Russia, are not right away going to allow the Mongols to rule. We can see here that the Abbasid Empire, remember these are Sunni Muslims, are going to refuse to Mongol rule, and thus they're going to be defeated. It talked about the Mongols sacking the city and executing many. Here we can see this in those paintings. You can see how we have many different Mongols taking over during this time and have weapons up, and then after, when the Mongols are ruling, you're going to see less Mongol military force because they are now in power, and the Persians or the Abbasids going on with their daily lives. Again, this is all happening because the Mongols have now forcefully taken over, and the Persians know that they are, or the Abbasids know that they are in charge. With that being said, those are your 5 documents that you would then use on this DBQ. Once you're all done, my first suggestion to you is to go through and see what elements you have that are similarities or what are big points, and go through, highlight those, and hopefully that will help you come up with your claims. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Bye.